Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today I'm going to walk you through how to create your calorie deficit, okay? Potentially the best way to go about it for you to stay consistent within this calorie deficit to get the long-term results that you're after. Don't forget, if you do enjoy the video, please do drop a like. If you've got any questions, throw them down below. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. One of the main issues people have when it comes to creating a calorie deficit is that they try to do so much in terms of expenditure, training, that they actually struggle to be able to recover from the amount that they're doing, okay? And when that becomes an issue, when they're trying to do so much training and that it backfires, is that they end up running themselves into the ground, not being able to sustain this calorie deficit, and therefore not getting the results they're after, okay? So I'm going to show you how potentially you want to create your calorie deficit so that doesn't happen. So first and foremost, calorie deficit is obviously very, very important because it is needed for fat loss, okay? Calorie deficit is taking in less calories than you're burning. If you're not taking in less calories than you're burning, you will not drop body fat, okay? Now, the two parts of creating a calorie deficit is then your intake, so how many calories you're taking in, and then your expenditure, how many calories you're burning, okay? Now, like I mentioned, too many people try and ramp up the expenditure part of this equation, okay? And they normally do that through, let's say, sessions, okay? So maybe they used to train 3 times a week, now they try and ramp up to 6. Okay, maybe even 7, maybe some days they're training twice a day, okay? And quite often what that does is, one, not only do you actually burn less calories than you think when it comes to training, you don't burn that many, but two, when you're trying to do so much, people struggle to recover from that. And like I said previously, when you struggle to recover from that, it typically backfires, okay? And not only can you not sustain that and not stick to that, but because you can't recover from it, training stimulus that you're actually giving yourself and the adaptation that you're getting, it's non-existent. So this is how I would instead go about creating your calorie deficit, okay? First and foremost, I would create the majority of your deficit from your intake, okay? So what that basically means is reducing your calorie intake. Let's be realistic, everyone's going to be different. Some people are going to have different starting points with their calories, so not everyone will be able to reduce it as much as other people. But as you as an individual, trying to reduce your calorie intake to a decent amount where you're still obviously operating well, feeling good, and being able to manage that amount of food on a long-term basis, but reducing it a decent amount that you're creating that initial deficit, okay? Then, from there, when you do look at expenditure to again try and contribute to the size of that deficit, don't look at it in terms of training sessions, okay, especially weight training sessions. Think of them as separate to everything else that we're doing here, okay? That's the stimulus that we're trying to get to retain muscle mass. Don't think of that in terms of calorie deficits. Instead, look at your step target, your daily expenditure, okay? How many steps you're hitting each day. Think of that in terms of contributing to your expenditure, okay? So maybe you increase your step count, your daily expenditure, to contribute to this size deficit. If you use these two things, okay, to create the size deficit, the majority of your deficit, that is going to put you in a decent position initially to get a good response and then to progress things further as time goes on, okay? Because steps are relatively low stress, if your calories aren't too harshly cut and you're in a decent position, that's going to put you in a good position in terms of being able to recover well, feeling decent, but while still getting a good response, which is key.